If you're still walking into Walmart out of pure habit, your household could be quietly losing over $500 a year without you ever noticing. And that's exactly why more and more shoppers are slowly walking away from this store. A new king of low prices has taken the crown, quietly. Here's what you need to know right now to protect your wallet. Subscribe and like if this is useful. 1. The low price crown has changed hands. For years, "Save money, live better" was the anchor phrase millions of American families associated with Walmart's budget. But the retail landscape this year looks nothing like before, and the title of cheapest everyday grocery basket no longer belongs to Walmart. A nationwide survey from Consumer Reports found streamlined chains like Aldi running about 8% cheaper than Walmart on the exact same basket of essential groceries. Ramsey Solutions took it further, testing 29 staple items: milk, eggs, chicken, beef, toilet paper, and Aldi came out ahead on 24 of the 29. Facing that pressure, Walmart is fighting back hard, rolling out rollback price cuts and accepting thinner margins on certain ground beef products. Kroger and other major competitors are also deep in what's being called the biggest price war in years. The truth isn't that Walmart is failing, it's that the company is quietly repositioning itself. Instead of being just a discount grocery chain, Walmart is becoming an all-in-one hypermarket. And that few cents per item gap is essentially the price of that convenience. The app ordering system, the curbside pickup infrastructure. For a smart shopper, the answer isn't blind loyalty to one store, but knowing how to split your spending. Buy fresh produce, meat, fish, milk, and eggs weekly at Aldi, and you'll instantly save 8 to 10% on that category. For diapers, detergent, household goods, or electronics, let Walmart's tech-heavy supply chain do what it does best. Order online, pick up curbside, keep competitive pricing without ever setting foot inside for cart traffic or long lines. But saving a few percentage points isn't the real concern here. There's something else being quietly cut that's much harder to spot with the naked eye. 2. The decline in great value store brand quality. To hold the line on everyday low prices through inflation and tariff pressure, Walmart has leaned on two fairly quiet tactics. The first is keeping the price the same while shrinking the amount inside the package, shrinkflation. The second is keeping the size the same while swapping in cheaper ingredients, skimpflation. On major consumer forums, plenty of once loyal great value shoppers have started venting. Several describe the pancake syrup pouring noticeably thinner now, almost like watered-down sugar water instead of its old thickness. Others say a slice of cheese now only covers about 2/3 of a standard bread slice, thinner and rubbery instead of pulling apart naturally. Some have noticed the large coffee canister that used to weigh 30 ounces now weighs only 25, with the shelf price unchanged. These are shopper-reported observations, not officially confirmed manufacturer numbers, but the growing volume of complaints has a lot of people questioning the real quality of this budget line. Buying cheap only to end up with a meal that tastes off isn't actually saving anything, it's a disguised way of wasting money. Meanwhile, wholesale club private labels like Costco's Kirkland Signature or Sam's Club's Members Mark have kept consistent quality and flavor, largely because their low-margin wholesale model doesn't force the same corner cutting on ingredients. If you've been loyal to a great value product for years but something recently felt off in taste or texture, don't assume it's your taste buds. Flip the package and compare the ingredient list to an old photo or receipt if you have one. Sometimes a cheaper oil or additive has been swapped in with zero warning on the front label. 3. The deceptive rollback trick. That yellow rollback tag used to be a small thrill for bargain hunters, but shoppers who habitually save receipts and track price history over time have started exposing an uncomfortable pattern. The tag typically shows a high original price next to a lower current price, creating the sense you've stumbled onto a big markdown. In a fair number of cases, though, that original price was never actually charged in the market, or only existed for a brief window just long enough to justify slapping a discount label over it. One shopper said she peeled back a yellow rollback tag while browsing toys and home goods and found the original white price label underneath showing the exact same number, down to the penny. The store had simply swapped the label color from white to yellow to create the illusion of a deal. This isn't limited to physical stores either. Plenty of app and website users report a similar bait and switch. The screen shows an attractive promotional price, but the moment they hit Add to Cart, the price jumps noticeably higher than what they first saw. The simplest protection is screenshotting the price before adding to cart, and if the number changes right after, cancel and report it to customer service. For in-store purchases, taking a few seconds to check whether an old label is hiding underneath a yellow tag can tell you whether you're actually getting a deal. Free price tracking apps can also pull up a product's price history over recent weeks, so the rollback tag isn't the only thing deciding whether you trust the deal. But those paper tags are on their way out, and what's replacing them could make checking under the label completely pointless. 4. The looming risk of stealth inflation through electronic shelf labels. Another shift is quietly rolling out across Walmart stores. A full changeover from paper price tags to electronic shelf labels. Small digital screens mounted right on the shelving, with nationwide rollout projected to wrap up by the end of this year. Walmart says this is purely about updating prices faster and more accurately, cutting down on the labor of manually swapping paper tags. Most consumers aren't fully convinced. The biggest worry is the system's potential to run AI-driven dynamic pricing, the same way rideshare apps spike fares during peak demand. In simple terms, on an especially hot day, the price of bottled water could tick upward automatically as the algorithm detects a spike in demand. Or during the store's busiest rush hours, grocery prices could shift quietly before you even reach the shelf. The real issue isn't the technology, it's trust. For decades, one of the main reasons Americans trusted Walmart was price consistency. Once that number can move based on an algorithm at any moment, that foundation starts to crack. And it's arguably the biggest concern tied to all these tech changes. Until there's more clarity, the simplest protection is avoiding purchases of weather-sensitive or high-demand items during peak moments, and checking the app's price before walking in to confirm it matches what's on the shelf. Still, pricing algorithms aren't the biggest worry waiting for you in the store. Walking past the fresh food section, there's something else you can barely see with the naked eye. 5. The risks lurking in the refrigerated and fresh food sections. There's a corner of Walmart most people never think to worry about. The gap in time between when merchandise gets unloaded off delivery trucks and when it's actually stocked into the coolers. Because of chronic staffing shortages at many locations, pallets of fresh milk, raw meat, and yogurt often sit at room temperature for hours before anyone gets around to shelving them. That seemingly harmless window is more than enough time for bacteria to multiply and spoil food well before the printed expiration date. Plenty of shoppers describe opening a milk carton to a strange smell, finding tray-packed chicken that's turned dull gray, or noticing cheese that's unusually sweaty and slimy despite a far-off expiration date. Returning fresh items is a hassle, and it's pushed a lot of families toward more specialized grocery chains for peace of mind. This isn't just a customer complaint anymore, either. It's turned into an actual lawsuit. Walmart previously settled a $45 million class action lawsuit over pre-wrapped fresh meat trays and large bagged fruit. Court filings showed checkout scale systems had been programmed to inflate product weights, forcing customers to pay for more than they actually received, and also accused the company of applying clearance labels to near-expiration food while still charging full price at the register. For sensitive categories like meat, dairy, and seafood, the safest move is inspecting color and smell right at the counter, rather than trusting the printed date alone. Another quick check. Feel the packaging. If it's warmer than expected or shows trapped condensation, there's a good chance it sat outside the cold chain longer than it should have. If you think checking the expiration date alone is enough to stay safe, the next section shows there's a completely separate risk still waiting. 6. The high-tech self-checkout scam trap. Self-checkout lanes, largely stripped of dedicated supervisory staff, have become fertile ground for a scam few people see coming. Scammers time empty lanes to start a transaction, loading funds onto a prepaid card or crypto wallet for a sizable amount, then deliberately leave it incomplete without swiping a payment card, walking away to wait nearby. This trick works because stores are cutting back on dedicated self-checkout staff to save on labor costs, often leaving just one or two associates watching several machines at once. That supervision gap is exactly the opening scammers exploit with little fear of getting caught. The next shopper, usually in a hurry, starts scanning their own items without noticing what's already on the screen, and unknowingly ends up shouldering the scammer's card loading fee. By the time they realize it, the money's already gone, with almost no way to recover it. The real problem is that this lack of oversight shifts the financial risk onto the customer instead of the system meant to prevent it. An unsupervised machine is the perfect environment for this kind of scam to persist quietly. The simplest protection: check the screen before scanning your first item and make sure the total starts at 0. If you see any unfamiliar text about card loading or prepaid balances already on screen, cancel immediately and flag an associate before continuing. But even dodging every checkout trap doesn't fix another experience quietly pushing people away from the store. 7. Cold customer service and staffing shortages. The warmth that used to greet you at the entrance, familiar smiles, friendly cashiers, is much harder to find these days. In its place, quiet aisles and an overworked, undertrained remaining staff as the company pours resources into automation. For shoppers who still value some human connection while grocery shopping, that sense of being overlooked isn't pleasant. At the same time, Walmart's aggressive push into delivery and personal shopping is turning physical stores into fulfillment warehouses during regular business hours. Shopping in person, you'll often find your path blocked by tall picking carts stacked with plastic bins for online orders. According to employee feedback, workers are held to strict time targets, sometimes forcing them to cut through the center of grocery aisles or nearly collide with customers browsing shelves. For the company, online pickup and delivery brings in much better margins than in-person shoppers, so prioritizing resources there makes business sense, even though the cost is ultimately felt by the loyal customers still shopping the traditional way. As a result, a grocery run that should feel relaxed now feels more like navigating a busy warehouse than strolling through aisles. If in-person shopping has felt noticeably more draining lately, that's not in your head, it's a direct result of these operational shifts. There is a way to sidestep the crowded scene entirely, though it isn't for everyone. 8. Paying extra for convenience. Walmart is heavily promoting its paid membership, Walmart Plus, priced at around $98 a year. On the surface, it looks like a standard upgrade, but in practice, it's drawing a clear line between two types of shoppers. Members get access to Scan and Go, letting them scan items on their phone as they shop, pay through the app, and walk out without stopping at a register. Non-members get funneled into traditional cashier lines that are already chronically understaffed. There's a fair operational reason behind this. Restricting phone scanning to verified accounts with purchase history helps limit retail theft compared to opening it up to everyone. But regardless of the reasoning, non-paying customers are left with the impression they're getting lower priority inside the exact same store. You walk into the same building, but the experience you get depends heavily on whether you're willing to pay extra every year. For a lot of people, that's not just about convenience. It feels like being sorted into a tier inside a place they visit and trust weekly. If you shop frequently and dread standing in line, the membership might pencil out based on time saved. But if you're only stopping by a few times a month, that fee may not be worth it, and you can just as easily avoid lines by shopping off-peak hours for free. Before signing up, try roughly calculating how many minutes you spend waiting at checkout each week, then compare that to the nearly $100 annual fee. Sometimes the math answers the question for you. If paying extra still doesn't guarantee a better experience, what's the alternative more people are quietly switching to? 9. The rise of smart laziness. After everything above, there's a growing pattern in American shopping behavior, more people choosing to skip the store entirely. In-person grocery shopping carries hidden costs people rarely tally on their receipt, gas money driving back and forth, time spent waiting in line, and the frustration of needing a personal care item locked inside a display case. Rather than deal with crowded aisles, plenty of people now just order personal care items through Amazon Prime from their couch, or use home delivery services like Walmart Plus in-home tier, where a driver brings groceries straight into the kitchen and stocks the fridge. The exhaustion of in-person shopping has quietly become one of the biggest reasons consumers are drifting away from physical stores toward the calm of online ordering. Once you add up gas, time, and the general hassle of going out, a lot of people realize a small monthly delivery fee is actually cheaper than they assumed. This ties directly back to the tiered customer story from earlier. When paying extra every year still doesn't guarantee a noticeably better in-store experience, plenty of shoppers take it a step further and skip the store visit altogether in exchange for control and convenience from their phone. This isn't a passing trend either. It's becoming a long-term habit, especially for anyone already used to handling everything with a few taps on a screen. Walmart isn't inherently bad, but this year calls for shopping a lot smarter than before. Every time you walk in, ask yourself one question: are you paying for the product, or are you paying for the convenience?